Hello, Matthew, the average gun owner here, and I just wanted to get a quick message out there. I've noticed because of recent events, both foreign and domestic, there has been a renewed interest for firearm ownership and training in what we would call non-traditional segments of the American population. Now, this is a great thing, and I'm seeing a lot of videos out there from many big YouTubers and instructors and trainers welcoming people to come in and become part of the firearm owning public in America and to get training to better protect themselves, their family, their country, whatever it is your intention is, that's fine. But just a quick note, just remember that unfortunately, for whatever reason, firearm ownership has been a political issue in this country. More in the last 50 years than before. For whatever reason, that happened, irrelevant to what I'm about to say. Just keep in mind, when you have people in your classes or at your ranges or in your friend group and you're talking about firearm ownership, just keep the politics out of it. There's no reason why we have to engage in the political discussion when any of the rights under the Bill of Rights shouldn't be a political issue on one side or the other. Just leave it out of the equation. You know, I'm a member of certain organizations and ranges that do a pretty good job of telling their instructors, hey, you know, keep the comments about government officials and jokes about segments of the society to a minimum. I had one range where we do an annual event where, you know, we would have people come in from different religious groups and backgrounds, and they had different, you know, traditions, I would say, for interacting with the public. And, you know, they did a good job of instructing us beforehand. Hey, we have these groups coming in and you know, they have different, you know, standards and values, and you know, this is how you interact with them, and this is how you show respect to them and their culture. And that's great. But sometimes I think we lose sight of the fact that when we get 20 people in the room together, we just assume we're all on the same page politically, and that usually isn't the case. Even when you make a joke about something, you know, you'll notice everybody in the classroom laughing. But the problem is, if there's that one or two people in the front row who are really there just to learn about firearm ownership and culture and don't want to be part of the political discussion, or don't want to feel like they're singled out because everybody else in the group is rah-rah, you know, woo-hooing, and they feel like they're not part of the group, they're going to feel not accepted, and they're going to be less likely to come back. It's funny that there's still a lot of people who are up against, you know, when friends and family tell them, oh, you know, I can't believe you're going to go, you know, go try out firearms, or you're going to go to the range with a friend of yours, just a bunch of, you know, middle-aged, you know, Christian white men. And, you know, look, I get it, middle-aged Christian white man doing this video, but you know, there's plenty of people out there on YouTube and Instagram from variety of backgrounds that, to be honest with you, I just don't see that as the norm anymore. I remember when I bought my first firearm and used to go to a shooting range, which is now closed. Yeah, you know, I was 20-something-year-old white guy, and I felt out of the ordinary because I wasn't over 50 years old at that point. But, you know, as I said to a friend of mine who owns a range a while back, I walked into the facility one day to shoot with a friend of mine, and I walked into the range and looked around and realized, holy crap, I am literally the minority in here. And it was kind of a great feeling, because it almost seems like they've broken down the barriers in certain parts, you know, of the country to, you know, making it normal, you know, normal everyday life to go train with your firearms and own firearms, and people aren't hiding the fact that they own firearms in the closet. You're seeing a lot more with, you know, people in Hollywood and other public figures admitting, hey, I take part in this and I enjoy it, and this is why. And, you know, when I said something to you know, one of the people that runs the range, they were genuinely excited to hear that comment, to see that somebody else had observed the same thing they had observed and something they had strived for, because the population in the range that day was an accurate cross-section of the county, and not necessarily all the middle-aged and old white guys coming by the range. So, you know, I think we're at a point in the evolution of gun rights in America, where we become perceived as more welcoming to all groups and all types. So, let's keep that up. To be honest with you, even of all the old middle-aged white guys that I know and that I shoot with, I've never heard a single one of them say, oh, I wish this group or that group, wouldn't come in and buy firearms or own firearms. I don't feel comfortable with it. You've seen politicians say, oh yeah, these white guys aren't going to be happy about firearm ownership once non-whites start buying firearms. And I'm just not seeing that. I'm not seeing that from any of my traditional white guy friends. Look, I know there's probably instances out there where people have seen there's racism everywhere. There's racism within the same culture, between different cultures, between religions and sexual orientations. I get it. It's always going to exist. But the way we combat that is to make sure the person who enters the range, the person who enters the classroom, or the person that comes to you for instruction doesn't feel like they don't belong because you made an innocent, innocuous, or harmless joke that, okay, I get it, buck it up, buttercup, and take it. It's just a joke. I understand that, but you're putting yourself out there to the public. And if that public sees you as welcoming of them, and not just because you want to take their money to do an hour session with them in training, but if that person really feels like they're being welcomed and included, and most importantly, wanted as a member of the group, they're much more likely to engage. So, apologies to anybody who has been to the range with me lately or training with me lately who thinks this video is singling them out. It is not. I'm purposefully making this video now because I have not run into any situations like that recently. But it's just something that was in the back of my mind because I'm watching a lot of these videos from a lot of YouTubers who are seeing the opportunity we have to get new people into the shooting sports and taking their self-defense seriously and training with firearms. And I just want to make sure it is once again on the forefront of everybody's mind to try to strive for a non-political environment in this area. That's my hope. Again, Matthew, the average gun owner.